Hey everybody, it's time for another episode of Passing the Torch with Steph the Jeweler. So glad you could join me today. We are in my very messy studio. I'll let you look around a little bit. This is my place. I'm probably here a ton more than I'm at home, it seems like. And I just got done with a very busy time. Therefore, my bench is a mess. So I was going to be going through everything, and I thought maybe you guys would like to see all my tools. So here we go. This is my visor. This is a must-have for any jeweler. Helps us see a little better, and especially with stone setting and all of that. So I wear this most of the time when I am working at my bench. Now I did just get a cool job back. This is one that I had my CAD designer help me with, and he went ahead and set it for me. It turned out gorgeous, so I thought I would show you this before we got into the messy business. Look at this guy. This is a lab sapphire, lab diamond ring, but it is 100% gorgeous. And 14 karat yellow gold, gentleman's ring. I just think it turned out so nice. I don't know what you guys think. So a little bit about me. I am a professional jeweler. I've been in the industry over 30 years. I've had my own shop since 2006. So this is the kind of stuff I work on. I do a lot of repair, a lot of custom, a lot of stone setting, you know, everything that comes with being a jeweler. I do have a laser that I use a lot too, and that's very helpful. But I thought it's been so long that maybe I should teach you guys and pass the torch, as I said, to somebody else and help them learn and maybe have a career in the jewelry industry too. So sometimes I get super busy and my bench does turn into a disaster. And that happens to all us jewelers, it really does. So no judging, now it's just the time to go through and sort and clean it up. So here is a rawhide mallet. You can see this one's well worn. I've had it for years. It works really well. These are all my little notes to self, not very organized, but that's on a custom job. Now you can see over here, I have a little drawer, just a little inexpensive drawer set. And this is a good way for me to store my tools where they're just at arm's length. I can grab them quickly. Oh, I like that pretty well. I have a ton of jobs in here that were completed, so I need to get rid of these and sort those. I know this may seem a little boring. I don't know how to turn on music yet for YouTube, so once I get some music and stuff, it'll be a little more fun. So here are some of my empty pieces from bags that I get my supplies in for my jewelry parts. So I tend to try to take the sticker off because I like to try to save the bags, and sometimes it works and sometimes, look at that, this one's working, and sometimes it doesn't. So that's cool. So what I do is, it says recycle, but the area that I'm in does not recycle plastic bags. So I save them for future use in holding small parts. I have another little drawer over there. Here's my ring. If you'd like to see, this is my wedding ring. I have been married 30 years. I have been married as long as I've been doing jewelry. So that's pretty crazy. My husband was around when I was first getting started, so that was a lot of fun. All right, now always save all your little scraps. This is just a little piece of advice. As you can see, I've got little scraps of gold. You can see you can either refine it or melt it down, use it for future jobs. So I always save everything, and I put it in a bag, in a drawer, in the same drawer. I mean, I may look like I'm a mess, but I'm an organized mess. I know where things go. So what I'm doing is cleaning out the drawer first, and then I'll work on the tools up at the top. This is how I store my solder. So I like to use sheet solder. As you can see, you order it by the penny weight. Wire is okay. You see a lot of people using it, but it really makes a mess when you solder. When you use sheet, you can clip off the exact size that you need. You don't have to make a great big mess when you solder. I'll be showing you soldering. I like to work really tight and have very clean lines. And when you have too much solder, then you have to clean it all up. It's such a mess. And one sheet will last you a very long time if you use it properly. So it's a little bit of an investment depending upon the metals you work in. I work in silver a lot because it's inexpensive and people really like it. Even big name brands use silver now a lot in their pieces because of the economy, I assume. This little brush is a lifesaver. I use it because everything gets gold and silver dust on it, and I like to wipe it off and keep it in the drawer. The reason being is I save all that dust and send that to the refinery as well. And you can see some silver wire I was using for a project. I'm just going to show you a few of my tools today as I clean. But these are invaluable to me. These are bent nose pliers. If you can see how the nose is bent, these are my nicer ones. They have a nice, see the small tip? I really like those a lot. I use these a lot for precision setting for diamonds or gemstones. So I'm going to put that over on my drawer to hold it, as you can see, so I can grab it easily. Here's another pair of clippers that I like a lot. I've got a couple pair of them in different repair. Some are better than others. You see it's a nice clean cut off. These are not expensive. I don't use really high-end tools. I find that I, go through them and I don't spend a ton of money on tools, but I do buy new because one time I bought used years ago. I really regretted it. I bought a vacuum pump from a used jewelry site. They ended up letting me return it, which was a blessing. But I'm telling you what, I find I just save up for what I want, and then that's, what I get. And I hang on to it for a very long time. So here are the round nose pliers. You can see those guys. And I have these in different sizes. See, different gauges. Like these are much tinier for smaller O-rings. I make my O-rings as I need them. I don't just have a big supply, and I certainly don't order. So I am actually the kind of jeweler, I am very stingy because, I'm a self-employed girl, and, raising kids back in the day. My kids are grown now, but I had to make my pennies count. So I will teach you all of that too, how to make things as you need them rather than ordering a bunch of stuff and sitting on it. Now these are pretty amazing pliers. Can you see the groove in the point? I'm trying to figure out how to use this camera well, I'm sorry. Do you see the grooves on the top and on the bottom? This is actually a special tool for pushing prongs that are awkward. And this part here on the top actually gives you leverage to push over onto the stone. So this is a really cool tool. I'd recommend that, especially for beginners, because, this is a difficult thing to learn, and, anything you can do that will help you get it done easier is good. Now here's another pair of bent nose pliers that I have. These are a little heftier. Do you see that? Again, these are not expensive. These are not expensive ones, and they work really well for me. Flat nose pliers. This is a must-have. You can see these are pretty worn too. They really are a must-have, especially for, sometimes you'll get a heavier prong. You just need a little oomph. You need a little extra material there to push with. This is a burnisher. I'll be showing you guys bezel setting. This is what you use for bezel setting in silver especially. I really use this tool all the time for all sorts of applications, but it is a great, great tool. This is a ring mandrel. Can you see the sizes running down? I can see that it's flipped backwards, but you can see the sizes running down. The way you use this is, let me take my ring off if I can get it off today. I can. So you take your ring and you slide it down the mandrel, and where it stops is the size. When you have a wide band, sometimes you have to look at the numbers differently, but there's little hash marks. Do you see those? And so the whole sizes, and then it has 1/4 and 1/2, 3/4, and then the next whole size. Well, my ring is a 7 1/4. And sometimes 1/4 really makes a difference just to slide over a knuckle, especially somebody that's arthritic. You want it to slide over, but you don't want it to be too big that it swings around a whole lot. Let's see, this is a really, really cool tool. Now, you see my center stone here. It's actually set up a little high, which is nice. Some are not. And so the culet, which is the pointy part at the bottom of your stone, could get chipped when you put it on a mandrel if it's too low. So do you see how this one has a flat side? You see that? That is so when you put your ring on the mandrel, do you see how it doesn't go all the way down? Isn't that cool? That is to protect a culet, or the point at the bottom of a faceted stone that is sticking down too low, because sometimes setters don't do a great job and they might set something incorrectly. And so as a repair jeweler, which I do a ton of repair, I have to be careful not to damage a ring that comes in, because I didn't set it, but I sure don't want to break it. So this is one way of protecting the bottom of a stone if I think it might be a little too low to stick on my mandrel. All right, next are your solder snips. These are a must-have too. Regular scissors just won't cut it after a while. Sometimes you can even cut thin sheet with it, like 24 gauge, 26 gauge, and it's a time saver sometimes. So that's kind of a nice thing to have. This is a stone paper. This is how diamonds come. You can see it says GIA on it. That's Gem Institute of America. And these diamonds are small, and they were graded by GIA for me. So they would be a certain color and a certain quality, you can see. So that's kind of nice, GIA certified. So that's how stones come to you. They come in a paper like that. So it's pretty cool. And I'm just giving you guys, showing you a few things today. This is called Burr Lube. This stuff is wonderful. It is a lubricant for your burrs. Your burrs are these little guys. You use it for cutting metal and cutting seats in your heads for where the gemstones go and prongs. So you can see I have an old Altoids box full of a bunch. And if you look up on my bench, you can see I have holders. I just need to refill them full of my burrs and things like that. So what happens is I get busy and I'll pull them out, and then I throw them down because I'm running to the next thing, and I end up making a big mess. So I have to clean that up today is what I'm doing. And of course you have your assorted files. This is called a needle file because it's smaller. It's a smaller file compared to a bigger file, as you could see. You know, those kinds of things. They have different applications at different times. Oh, you're probably looking at this. This is my loop. This is a way that you can look at something closely, to look and see if a prong is damaged, or to look at the different qualities of diamonds. And I have had this one, gosh, 30 years. I've had this 30 years in my sentimental loop. I just love it. And this is a millimeter gauge. What I love about this one is it's digital. And it looks like my battery's out. That's really funny. Oh, no, here he is. So, you can see with precision how big a stone is, for example. I'm going to clear it out. See? Pretty cool. So, I do that. These are my dividers. I know it looks kind of like a compass with math. That's a similar thing. But what you do is you do precision measurements with this, and you just open it or close it based on what you need to measure. And you would run it down the side of a piece of metal, for example, to do a scratch. I'll show you on this little piece here. So if I wanted to cut a certain amount off, I would measure it and I would make a line. You see the line there? There, can you see it a little bit? You see that line? And then what you do is you never go past the line. You cut up to the line, but you never go past it. That way, you always have a precision measurement to go up to. You always file up to the line, but not over it. That's so many applications for that little bit of advice. Like this is your chuck. This is a chuck. And you probably have seen this like with your drill outside in your garage kind of thing. This goes to your flex shaft. This is a flex shaft. This is a Fordham flex shaft. It looks like something at your dentist's office, doesn't it? And it's very similar. Dentistry and jewelry have similar tools, which is kind of funny. Here is what the Fordham looks like hanging up top. I get it here. You see that hanging there? At the top there? That's the motor. And then it has this like a drivetrain kind of thing that goes down to the actual instrument itself. And what you do with the chuck is just like a drill in the garage. You would find the edging, you put it in, and you turn it and open it. Lefty-loosey, righty-tighty is the way they always say. To take something out or to put another one in, and then you just tighten it. And jewelers have all sorts of quick tighten ones and stuff like that. This is just a very basic. I've had it for years and it works great. These are little gravers. They call them gravers, and I have all different kinds and sizes. I use the blue painter's tape because it keeps it in there a little more snug for me when you push it in. It doesn't want to fall out. But what I'll use this for is to tighten a diamond, for example. I would go in, to tighten or to set, things of that nature. That's what this is for. And then you put all different types of heads and things in it. I'll leave this ring out so that we can use it for other things. Let's see. Oh, this is a sanding drum. I make them myself. You buy them, and I worked in a store where they made us buy them, and it's so easy to make it yourself and so affordable, and you go through them so quickly that it is definitely worth learning how to do. I could teach you that if you want me to teach it. And so here we go in and we would take this one out, and then you put in your sanding drum. And when this piece of sandpaper gets old, for example, as you can see, blah, 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 then I go through and I would just rip off this piece and have a new piece underneath. Now here's the trick. You never, ever throw away the sandpaper. This sandpaper has metal on it. If you look up close, there's gold on that. And so we send this into the refinery as well with all our dust. So I saved that. And then there was a tool that I absolutely love. This little guy, it's a sanding disc. And let me tell you, that saves so much time when you're in a hurry. You're trying to get a job done and you sized a ring and you need to, grind this down. You could file it with a file, but if you go in with this little sanding drum, I tell you what, it really, see, goes fast. And you just zip, 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 and remove the metal that you need to. It works really well. Now this is a ball peen hammer. This, you see the flat side, and then this is the round side. And, it fits in your hand ergonomically. Usually they have a nice thing, and this is for hammering when you're doing sizings and customs, and you're trying to round something out. The problem is it will ding things up a little, so that is when you use, if you're having to move it and you don't want to ding it, that's when you use the rawhide mallet, because that one doesn't leave a mark on the surface usually. So that's good there. And last but not least, I will show you today, this is your jeweler saw. And you can see that. Do you see how thin this little saw blade is? I don't know if you can see, it's so thin, so tiny. And that cuts your metal. Isn't that wild? So I could teach you all about that. There's certain ways that you have to put these in. There's certain ways to hold your hand. Like, for example, when you're trying to cut something, you want to have your hand and your blade all up and down vertically. You don't want it leaning like this. You don't want it leaning like that. And you want to move it slowly, and it cuts very precisely. And then you also use the burr loop on your blade. See, I always put it on the back of the blade rather than the front because it gets in the teeth. I always wipe the teeth out before I start sawing something. So that's a pretty cool thing as well. So that's just a beginner into the drawer of my bench. As you can see, I have a lot of tools up top, like copper tongs. These have a very special use. I'll have to teach you about that in the future episodes. Charcoal block is very important. A lot of jewelers don't use this, and it cracks me up because it really is very helpful. And, you know, we've got your block. This has a very specific use. You don't just hammer on it. You see these little divots in there? So you know on the inside of your ring where it's marked 14 karat, 18 karat, sterling silver, things like that. Well, this little block is made so that you can use your stamp to stamp the inside of your ring. I'll show you. I have a little bag here with some, my most used stamps. And this is called a bent ring stamp. See how it's bent? It's not straight. That is so it can go on the inside of your ring, see? And then what you do is all these little divots here, you find the one that fits your ring and you kind of slide it in there, and then it kind of helps to hold it in place a little bit. Well, do you see how I'm doing that here? You see how that goes in? All right, so then I would hold it in place, and then I would use my ball peen hammer, and I would hammer it in order to put my stamp on the inside. And I use the stamps for all sorts of things, as well as putting my name inside of my designs. A lot of times I'll do that as well. I have a stamp that has my name, Steph, on it, so it's pretty cool. So I hope this has given you just an intro into some of the tools on my bench. I have a lot to clean and sort, but it's a good start. So to show you guys what I'm up to. And I do have a lot to teach you and a lot to show you, and I really hope you keep coming back and following me, because I have an entire lifetime of jewelry knowledge in this brain, and I guess I'm just ready to share it with the world. So hopefully I will see you again soon. Take care, and thanks for joining me on Passing the Torch. This is Steph the Jeweler. Have a great day.